If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's certain tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Once again, today I have Zori here.
Hello again.
Oh, where am I going to put this? You hold it.
I don't know. Oh yeah, I can just hold it.
Or you can put it there. It doesn't matter. Okay, so we have a short little quick podcast today for you guys to listen to. Just a little rant, kind of just a mix of stuff.
Yeah.
But we thought we might talk about relationships and maybe trauma with
relationships and trauma. Definitely, we were just kind of having a good discussion about it. And my opinions are so, I don't know. I don't want to say, I'm not like other girls, but I feel like I'm definitely in the minority when I talk about, I hear a lot of people agree with me, though, too, but, I feel like this, I don't want to say this generation, but, now, I feel like a lot of people just get in relationships just to get in relationships and aren't thinking about why they're doing it or aren't even thinking about, each other. I feel like it's a lot of instant validation that they want.
Oh yeah.
From somebody else. They need somebody else to tell them that they're better or whatever. And I'm not against,
because they can't do that themselves.
Yeah, they can't do it themselves. And I'm not saying that relationships are inherently bad. I'm just saying at a young age, we're all still figuring ourselves out. So how likely is it that your relationship's gonna last and be of high quality when you don't even know who you are yet and you're just kind of looking for somebody else to validate.
And we all used to do that at one point.
We all do.
We
We do it all the time.
Years,
and I would even
20s.
say out of relationships, you still do that. Yeah. But in a relationship, it just kind of makes it a little bit harder because you're in the situation when you're fully emotionally sharing yourself, giving yourself to somebody. And that can take a lot out of you.
Mm-hmm, it's draining.
It's so draining. I'm telling you, I didn't date in high school. And I've been in one, serious relationship. And I'm 22. And after the one serious relationship, the whole relationship was pretty good. The ending was kind of bad. And after that, I was so drained. And I just was in this mindset of, how do people jump from person to person?
Right, because it takes so much time after to regain yourself
in
back
who you are.
Get back to the level of okay.
I'm not even gonna say, I was about to start with I'm sorry, but I'm not. If you can break up with somebody or have a situation end with somebody and immediately be with somebody else, within a week, a month, even 2 months, after being with somebody for a while, it's
almost like a way of running.
It is a way of running. It's I'm not gonna deal with that. If you never sit down and actually deal with the emotions of anything, of any trauma or any relationship ending and deal with it and see ask yourself what did I learn from this relationship, or what can I take away, or what did I learn about myself, what do I like, what am I going to take into my next relationship. If you can't sit for a couple months and do that alone, I don't think you're ready to be in a relationship.
No, and
you're not in it for the right reasons.
Also, don't go look, if you're always constantly searching for someone, searching for a relationship, it's just going to attract. Okay, my whole thing is you attract what you reciprocate. Yeah. So if you're just not working on yourself and you have negative energy and you don't want to be alone and all that stuff, you're literally going to attract that same energy. And
then those two things together, two people who aren't working on themselves and just want each other's validation, is a total fucking shitstorm. Yeah. And it just ends up with nobody's happy, everyone's upset, and nothing's equal. Nobody feels like the relationship is helping them. It's just you have to ask yourself, why did I even get into this in the first place? If you sit down, I genuinely ask anybody, whether you're in a relationship or not in a relationship, to sit down and ask yourself why you're in the relationship if you are in one. Or if you're not in one and you want one, why do you want one so bad? Yeah. What is the reason behind it? And I'm not saying that any reasoning is bad, but literally just ask yourself. Ask yourself and see what the answer is. And don't take the first answer for face value. Ask yourself, and then ask yourself again. And say, what really is the answer? Because I feel a lot of us have, ulterior motives and we don't even realize it. We're just covering up.
Right. I would say, like, the best type of love to come to you is when you're not searching for it. I mean, anything in life. Anything that's going to be the best coming to you is when you're not looking for it and searching for it. When you're genuinely just, like, working on yourself and then it just falls in your lap. Like, that literally does happen. Like,
yes. And I know it's cliche, and people are like, there's been, like, discourse about this, and people say, like, I don't think you have to love yourself to be in a relationship. I disagree. Fully disagree on that.
You have to love yourself to a degree.
Yeah, to a degree. I don't think you have to, like, fully have your whole self figured out and, like, be in love with yourself.
No one does.
No, because no one does. But I do feel like to be in a relationship, you have to, if you can't look at yourself in the mirror and be like, I like who I am.
Or not even just that, but, like, doing something that you enjoy, and you're like, oh, it's so cool. Like, I like that I like this. Like, I like that I like spirituality.
If you can't find anything that you like about yourself, then what is a relationship going to give you?
Yeah,
If you can't give it to yourself, somebody else can give it to you. That's people are like, oh, if you can't give it to yourself, nobody else can do it to you. But you're just supplementing. Like,
aren't you just gonna search for that in other people?
And technically, there's nothing. If it's validation you're looking for, and you find somebody to give you validation, you think you're in love with them. You're in love with the fact that they love you.
Yeah.
And that because you can't give that to yourself. You know what I mean? And it's hard. It's hard for a lot of people to even admit that, but it doesn't have to be like a situation where you're just constantly looking for validation. You can start to find that in yourself, you know what I mean? And you can do it without somebody, and once you start to find it in yourself, you're going to attract somebody else who finds it in themselves, and then you guys end up in a great relationship where you both love yourselves enough to, like, stand up for yourself in the relationship and also just, like, set boundaries and be healthy about it, rather than you're too insecure to, like, call this person out on something that maybe they did wrong because you don't want them to leave you. Like, I've known so many people like that who are like, oh, well, he did this wrong, but, like, I don't want to call him out on it because I don't want to make him mad because I like him. And it's like, well, like, what about you? You know what I mean? Like, you have to love yourself enough to be able to walk away from a situation when it's bad. And if you're only in a relationship for validation, you're not going to walk away from it when it's bad, because without it, you don't have any validation. So it's like,
true. Also, we were talking about how trauma is super important to deal with. Like, okay, you can still figure out yourself in a relationship. You just got to make sure you're doing it.
Yeah.
Like,
you actually have to actively do it. And if you don't have time to be in a relationship and work on yourself, chances are you're not ready to be in a relationship at that moment.
Because everyone can do it.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I think it's fucking bullshit when people are like, oh, I'm breaking up with you because I need to work on myself. Like, sometimes I think that's bullshit because, like, all you need to do is literally take, like, I know everyone at least has, like, a half an hour to an hour by themselves a day. Like, I know everyone at least has that. So then just take little steps to, like, work on yourself, like, during a relationship.
Yeah, I think some people do that, though, because they physically and mentally are not capable of being in a relationship while working on themselves.
Right.
Because relationships do take, like, a lot out of you, and depending on what you need to work on or whatever, like, some people literally just can't do both.
Right. But, like, you will always need to be working on yourself.
Yeah,
so you're gonna have to some point do that in a relationship.
But at some point, yes. If you have, like, a lot of backed up shit, though, chances are you won't be able to be in a relationship and work on yourself. Because you're gonna end up lashing out at your significant other. You're gonna, like, say something, or even if they do something that, like, triggers you that you really haven't worked through yet, and it continues, and you're just not able to, like, balance growing a relationship and growing yourself, then it can, like, end up really bad. But other than that, like, if you just, like, have, like, a little thing, like, maybe, like, I think we said, like, an example the other day of, like, I need to stop saying sorry to everybody for no reason. Like, if that's something you want to work on, and it stems from, like, a deeper thing of, like, maybe you just always feel like you're not allowed to take up space, you can practice taking up space and be in a relationship, you know what I mean? Like, that's something that's, like, kind of surface level. Whereas if you have, like, a very deep, like, wound of trauma to deal with, it's not smart to get into a relationship and trying
to heal it.
Yeah, without trying to even, like, address that first. And doing it at the same time is possible, but it's very difficult, because being in a relationship with let's say you have, like, two completely healthy people, like, they don't have it all figured out, because nobody does, but, like, two completely, like, they all set their boundaries, they communicate with each other, two people that are really, like, just, they've got it, they seem like they've got it all figured out, you're still gonna have to work on yourself. Yeah. So, like, if you're with somebody who also hasn't worked on themselves and you haven't at all, and you're just not like willing to even put in the work, the thing is, what happens is when somebody hasn't worked on themselves at all, gets in a relationship with somebody, they're using that other person as a Band-Aid for the trauma, right?
Right.
So if you have a Band-Aid on, you don't really need to work on fixing the wound. You know what I mean? It feels like the wound is literally just like covered up. So it's like, you're like, oh, this person makes me feel so good. I don't feel depressed when I'm around them. Right. But then as soon as they go to work or something, you're like, I wish they were around.
Or like, as soon as they do something that makes you feel uncomfortable or triggers you in some way, that's when like it comes out too.
Yeah.
And stuff.
And if you're like constantly, if you can't be without that person for even like a day or like an hour or something like that without feeling like shit, chances are you're not, like, you're addicted to them. Like,
would
you're
you
addicted
say that's
to, like,
also like abandonment issues?
I would say it depends, because it could be abandonment issues, it could be anything, but like I fully feel like not able to speak on that because I'm just like not a therapist, and like it depends on everybody's issues. You could totally like, you know, you could also just be addicted to the person's like validation. If somebody's around you and like you're insecure and they're always like, you're so beautiful, like I'm in love with you, and that makes you feel so good. When they're not around, you're gonna go right back. You're gonna go right back to feeling insecure when they're not around, because you can't give that to if you look in the mirror and you're like, I hate her, and the only time you love her is when somebody else says it, then when they're not around, you're gonna feel like shit again. Right. Which is why you're addicted to them. So you can't work on like insecurity if you're literally using somebody else's validation to put a Band-Aid on your insecurity while you're in that relationship.
I would also say it's like a personality thing. Also, I kind of tie in like the zodiac thing with it, because like I know for me, like I have like, I'm a control freak. I don't know. I know you have some Virgo in you. Yeah. I don't know if that's like the Virgo thing, but I'm pretty sure like I literally like have to have control over everything, or else I don't like feeling out of control. So like even to the point where like I like to be driving at all times because I don't trust other people. Yeah. Like it's like control shit like that, like even with like a plane, like just little stuff of like just like in my life like that I feel like I have to control. So then sometimes it kind of like spreads to other people, and I always am in this like, I feel like I need to control and like be in power. Like it's some weird like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's different. It's hard. Relationships are really hard. That's part of the reason why I say in general, like I'm saying all this shit, I'm not an expert. Again, I've only, like I said in the beginning, I've only been in like one serious relationship. But from what I've seen from other people who, like, I've had friends that did date, like, all through high school and continue to date. I've had friends that, like, were literally never single. And, like, once they finally became single for, like, even just, like, a short amount of time, they're like, who the fuck am I? You know? It's like, you gotta date yourself. There's so many people. No, it sounds so stupid and it sounds so cliche, but there's so many people who literally don't even know who they are without somebody else. And that's where it's, like, inappropriate to be in a relationship, because it's, like, now it becomes codependency. It's not healthy to be like that codependent on a significant other. Like obviously it's okay to depend on each other for like some things, but like if it gets to a point where like they're like gone and you're like it's different to have like like certain like abandonment issues, like maybe you're working on that and it's not like it makes you anxious, but you know it's not anything. But I'm saying, like, if you fall into a depressive episode after not seeing them for a day, or not getting a text back in, like, a second, or something like that, like, I'm not gonna say anything about you specifically, because I don't know you, but, like, you might want to just look in the mirror and say, like, why do I feel this way if this person's not around? Right. Like, in what ways can I give this love to myself? In what ways can I, like, love myself? And I don't know, like, I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, like, saying the only valid love is self-love, and I don't believe that necessarily, but I do feel like self-love is very important, and I think it's more important than love from other people, because at the end of the day, I know it sounds so morbid, but at the end of the day, you are you. Like, you're gonna be with you for, like, your entire life.
I just had yesterday, I literally thought of that, and I almost, like, had a breakdown. Like it really hit me yesterday.
No, it hits you at different times, and I read that quote like a couple years ago, and I love to live by it, because it's like one of the things that makes you put yourself first is like you realize I have to live with me forever, right?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, even if you find somebody who doesn't mind.
Yeah, that's what hit me.
Even if you find somebody who like doesn't mind giving you all this validation and you're insecure, and they could die in a car crash. Right. They could literally just like end up in a situation where it's like anything could happen, and at the end of the day, you're gonna have to be with you for the rest of your life.
Right.
So you might as well learn to love you. You know what I mean? Like learn to like be the person you want to be, and then once you do that, you can find somebody else who also is on that same journey of like, I want to be my best self, and you guys can find a healthy relationship. And then in that case, the relationship might only end because you're going in different paths, or it might not end at all. You know what I mean? It might be a really great relationship, but it won't be because one of you is too insecure, or one of you is just dealing with like trauma that you had never dealt with before. It will literally just be because of like a surface issue. It wouldn't be anything like too deep.
So how, like, I think like one of the issues is a lot of people have no idea how to deal with trauma.
Yeah.
Which I understand, because I get don't it too. Really even
it's
know.
Hard.
Like, I use like, I think meditating stuff,
it's a bunch of different things.
What can you do, like, for serious trauma? Like, do you even know? Like,
I would say, I'm, again, not an expert, but in my personal opinion, if somebody were to ask me, like, what do? I have all this trauma and I want to deal with it. I'd be like, first things first, write about it. Literally, if it's something that is, like, writing it down, or even, like, open up your voice memo, because some people don't like writing, and I get it. My hand cramps when I journal, so I don't even journal as often as I used to. But, like, if open up your voice memo, and, like, start talking. Like, literally just say how you fucking feel. Like, be in a room on your own if you can.
Yeah.
Be vocal about it. If you're writing it down, if you like writing the best, then write it down. If you like typing, type it out in a Google Doc or something.
Right.
Start addressing those emotions. I would say number one thing is therapy. Everybody should be in therapy, I believe.
True.
But I also know that therapy isn't accessible to everybody. I've never been to therapy because I could never afford therapy.
Yeah, it's expensive.
I want to so bad, but like I had to figure out all this shit on my own because I didn't have the resources. So when I did my own research, it was like journaling and meditating, and people I know roll their eyes at that shit and they'll be like, oh, meditating isn't gonna like fix my trauma.
Over time, that shit,
you would be so surprised at the shit it does for you. It's not gonna fix it in a day. You're not gonna take a deep breath and all of a sudden be healed. Yeah, it's gonna take a while, but so does therapy. Therapy's not going to fix you. I think my number one advice is stop looking for a quick fix. It's going to take time, but the sooner you address it, the better you're going to feel.
Yeah, the first step is addressing it.
The first step is literally, and that's like that's one of the hardest steps, is literally just accepting that you need to work on yourself, and that a lot of people have to like hit a rock bottom before they even like start to do this in like internal work.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they don't have a reason, or everything's so covered up by like substances or like just relationships or like external validation. But like once you start working on the things, put little things into practice, try to look up, like literally just research on your own. Right. If you don't have therapy available to you, even if you do have therapy available to you, I had so many friends that like would be in therapy and tell me how shitty their therapist is.
Right.
So it's like if you're gonna go to therapy, shop around, okay? Just because they're a therapist doesn't mean they're right for you. And if they're not, it doesn't mean that you can't be helped. It just means that you need to find somebody who's right for you, because a lot of these therapists don't give a fuck. They're in it for the money or something. I don't know what they're in it for, but like get somebody who cares, okay?
Right.
And take what they say and try to apply it to your life. Obviously depending on like what it is, because I don't know what goes down in therapy. I've never been there. So but yeah, just take like little steps, and don't be afraid to like do things outside of like therapy too. Like there's workbooks, there's like mental health workbooks that aren't like just some like hippy dippy things either. Like I'm talking about like actual like therapy workbooks you can find on like Amazon and stuff like that. I know because I bought one for my ex.
Really?
She said she wanted one so bad, so I bought her one. But yeah, it was it's crazy. There's so many things you can do to start. My biggest advice is just to like admit it, or even if you have like something small, it might not even be a big trauma. Like start addressing the things that like see what happens if you go quiet for 5 minutes and just think. And people are so scared to be alone with their thoughts, but it's like, those are the things you need to address. Once you start addressing those things, you're going to feel so much better as a person.
I used to be scared of that.
I get it. It's very scary.
I used to always have to hang out with friends, always be around someone, because I couldn't stand the thought of being alone and having to deal with my emotions.
Yeah.
So I would hang out with people who, like, all the fucking time. And then at some point I was like, you know what? No, like, you got to be okay with, like, being able to be with yourself. But I would say, like, if you can't afford therapy, I would say, like, just saying it out loud to yourself can help. And
that too.
Even talking to a friend or something, if that helps you. Because I know, like, just venting with your friends really helps.
Also, look around you, too. If your friends are shitty and not validating you and, like, treating you like shit, I know it sucks to be alone, but
it does.
I would rather have no friends than have shitty ones.
That's true.
I think that even if you don't feel that way, if you feel like you'd rather have shitty friends than have no friends, that's okay. But I would say, like, try to work on that mindset, because you don't want to be surrounded by shitty people. If people are, like,
not good, and it brings
like
down
shit,
your vibration.
It
and
literally
all that
does.
stuff.
So those are my thoughts on
we could honestly talk
about
this forever.
I could literally talk about this forever. This is like a short episode, but
it is a short episode that will eventually lead to a long episode of it.
No, definitely. We could, like, do
this could go 10 different ways.
No, it definitely could. There's so many things to talk about with it, but that's my opinion.
That's our, like, little topic covering
rant,
today. But okay. Well,